Welcome back to Cherry Hills. In the last episode, we were working on getting our sawmill facilities up and running, and we basically came back and loaded up another flatbed or semi-load of logs, and we're off to our replenish that sawmill that we were a little short on, and we will, I believe we need to put some logs in a pallet production facility. And then we also need to put some more logs in the wood chipper because we're going to need wood chips for our pallet production. And once we get that done, we're going to bring the log trailer back up here and pick up our pickup truck. And then we'll continue our tour of the town. We have a grain mill I need to show you, and also I need to show you the greenhouses that we're going to start working on. And then we should be able to conclude our tour, at least this part of the tour, with a quick look at the BGA. There is a very important facility down at the BGA that I need to make you all familiar with, and that is one that will allow us to manufacture manure. We have 101 cows at this point, so we do have some amount of manure obviously being generated by the cows, but we don't have near enough manure to support the greenhouses and the tree nursery for long term. So we're going to need to manufacture manure. Now, coming up here is a relatively new facility that just came up. Actually, it actually popped up overnight, and it is a new meat packing plant. This meat packing plant will accept cattle, sheep, and pigs. You can see the meat packing plant here on your right. So they accept all of the animals, and they produce sausage and steaks that we can sell. And we've come into an arrangement with a local inn to purchase those steaks and sausages. So we are going to get into that business once we have a surplus of pigs. So we're not going to sell our cows, or we're not going to use our cattle for meat because our cattle are way too valuable. A commodity with respect to the milk that they produce, as well as we're going to need their liquid manure and solid manure, obviously, to get our facilities running that we want to get running. But pigs are pretty much good for one thing, and that is the other thing pigs are good for is breeding. And you can always have too many pigs, so we want to keep our population of pigs down by simply taking them up to the processing plant once we have enough pigs to do that. Alright, so we've filled up that facility. Now let's go ahead and take the rest of these logs over here to our wood chipper. Alright, let's see here. We want to offload to the right. Alright. So let's drive our truck back on up to our other sawmill facility, our lumber facility, and pick up our truck so we can get back onto our town tour. We also have a fair amount of compost that we are going to need to get rid of. And in looking at our price overlay, it looks like Puma Plow's Mill is currently paying the best price for compost. So here in the next little bit, we're probably going to set up. I'm probably going to take you down to the mill, the Puma Plows mill, and show you, basically show you how to get there. And then I'll probably task you with driving the truck down and basically just making as many trips as we can to the mill in order to sell the compost that we have at our farm. You'll see when we get to the BGA that we have another compost facility up there that we can make use of. So we will probably manufacture compost at the BGA that we're going to use in our greenhouses long term. But in the short term, we'll stock up the greenhouses with the compost from the farm. So we've got a fair amount of forestry all on the outside of this map, so there will be no shortage of trees to keep our sawmills up and running and our table manufacturer, and then of course our barrel, crate, and pallet manufacturer. We don't want to take the turn too terrible quick here. We don't want to overturn our trailer. We also need to be careful when we turn in here because we do have our train running. We don't want to get taken out by our train. Problem is I don't know which direction the train might be coming from. I don't see it, so let's run on across the railroad tracks. Alright, we will just park our truck right on here. Get out. Head on over here to our pickup truck. And we're going to make our way over here to the down into town and see if we can't find that grain mill. The grain mill will take grain, obviously, and process that into flour. So I want to make sure that you know where that is. So when we start processing our flour, alright. So we want to run down here to an intersection and make a right. Okay. There goes our train. So we won't have to worry about the train for a little bit. There's our Cherry Hill sign. So let's see if I can find the diner. Is the diner this way? I think it is. Let's turn on in here and see if I can find our diner, because I believe the inn that accepts our sausages is right across the street from the diner. I just need to yep, here it is. So we will be selling our sausages and meat to the Twin Cannons Inn. Right here is where we'll need to take our processed sausage and meat once we start doing that. So I want to show you that so that you know where that might be once we start asking you to take these trips down to the down to sell our sausages. Let's get back on the road here. The mill is right past this right past the ball field here and the gas station. The mill's coming up. Let's see here. Is this a turn off for the mill? No. It's, I believe it's right here is the mill. So I want to show you all this so that we know what's going on here. So we'll come in here with our truck and we'll dump our grain in here. And let's go over here and check out our interface panel. So we accept grain here and we get flour pallets that we then sell. So once we have a good supply of grain, we'll probably be bringing some down here. So I want to make sure you know where the grain mill is. Alright, and our greenhouses are right up the street here. So let's make our way up here to the greenhouses. And our BGA is conveniently right across the street from the greenhouse facility. Alright, so here are the greenhouses. Okay. Let's get on out and take a walking tour here. So these greenhouses will manufacture various fruits and vegetables. This particular greenhouse makes lettuce pallets, and all of the greenhouses will need compost, manure, and water to be operational. In total, I believe there are 5 greenhouses that produce lettuce, cauliflower, tomatoes, pumpkins, and melons. And conveniently, the greenhouse workers will be putting the final fruits and vegetables on pallets over here on these conveyor belts. So that's rather convenient. We also have a seed master up here should we need to start manufacturing some seed. The garden center here will accept compost, and they'll also buy manure up here. So what we are going to be doing here, we'll probably get to it a little bit today, is we're going to be bringing up some compost and starting to load up our greenhouses so they'll be ready to rock and roll. We need to let's go up here, and I want to show you the BGA facility because this is a very important facility that you know how to operate and you know your way around. So we'll come on in here to the BGA, and we might as well just drive through the weigh station and the dump station. So when you come in, you're going to want to get weighed, and then you're going to dump your product into there. And I want to show you a couple of these facilities that are not really typical to your average BGA that you may be experienced with. So here we have our compost master that we're going to be using to obviously make compost for both our garden center, and we can also put our compost down in the BGA digester. So the compost master needs fuel, diesel fuel, and waste. And waste can pretty much be anything organic, which could include pretty much any straw, grass, hay, compost, manure, silage, wood chips, I believe will also work. Now this particular facility is one that we're going to be making use of fairly quickly in our plans, and this particular facility will make manure. All we need is liquid manure and straw. We have plenty of straw in our silo, And we've got our cows obviously making liquid manure as we speak. So let's just check and see what our supply of liquid manure looks like. So we've already got over 30,000 units of liquid manure. And we have how much straw in our silo? So we have 600,000 units of straw. So we're going to be bringing up a load of straw and a load of liquid manure in here so we can start manufacturing solid manure. Now this facility is also very important to our total plans. This facility will take the digestate from the digester here at the BGA, and it'll turn it into liquid and solid fertilizer as well as biofuel. So we need biofuel for our compost masters. We need biofuel for our tractors. We obviously need liquid and solid fertilizer for our fields. So this is a very, very important facility to learn and understand how it works. And then of course over here we have our standard BGA bunkers for chaff and grass to go into to ferment into silage. And then we've got a really nice storage shed that we're going to use to store all of our equipment that we're going to use up here. And then this facility we also need to get up and running today. So this is a compost bagging plant. You basically bring compost in here and it makes compost bags. So we need to get this facility up and running. So let's run down to the farm and let's load up a load of compost, and let's go ahead and bring it on up here for our compost palleting plant, our bagging facility, so we can get that facility back up and running. Then the plan will be to bring up straw and liquid manure and get our manure processing plant up and running. So we'll see how much of that we can get done this episode and the time that we have left. So the main farm, give you a frame of reference, is right down this road. This road has a pretty steep incline up here, and at the very top of the hill we have the U.S. Marine Corps grain facility. So you can see the top of that facility right there. And then the farm is basically right up ahead, right down there at the base of the hill. You can see some of the farm buildings off to your left already. So let's go ahead and dive on in here. And I believe I already had one of our hired hands bring the truck on over to the compost master. So let's see here. Indeed we did. So we've already loaded up a load of compost. So let me get you started on getting this up here. Like I said, we're going to make a couple trips to the BGA today. Get a couple things up and running. So while we are we'll go off storyline a little bit. While we're on our way up here to make a couple trips to the BGA, I wanted to say that there's been some equipment change out at the farm. This particular truck that we are in is one of the things that we swapped in. I I was having some issues with the NLD trucks. Those were the red and white trucks that you would have saw in the first episode when we did kind of a tour of the farm. We may have used one or two of those trucks briefly in previous episodes. I don't remember. But we basically got rid of those trucks because I was having a hard time setting up a courseplay course and having the truck load properly. And then those trucks also had a light that pretty much stayed on all the time, and that was a little annoying to me. But the reason the light stayed on is because those trucks required a mod that's called like the add-on light mod or something, and that particular mod is known to have conflicts with some other mods that I use, so I really couldn't add that mod into the game. So the end result was the lights that basically relied on that mod to work stay turned on. So I just got rid of those, and we got this really awesome AR American style truck, and we're going to use a bunch of the AR equipment on this map. So let's I don't know how much compost this thing will take. So let's see, we're putting 30,000 units in, and we are at 74%. So let's go ahead and bring another load on in. It won't take long. So as a result of switching out the NLD trucks, we had two NLD. Actually, we had three NLD trucks. We had a hook lift truck, and we swapped that out with a hook lift mod by Vanquish that has this body style of a truck, and then a hook lift on the back for basically the IT runner modules. Then we swapped out the NLD tipper truck and the NLD semi basically for this truck here, because this truck will accept the AR modules, as well as it has a fifth wheel, so it can tow standard semi trailers also. And then as far as AR modules, we sold our milk tanker because we have an AR module that's a milk tank that I think looks really nice on this truck. That module also substitutes as a water tanker, so we swapped that out. We swapped out our animal trailer, our big long double-decker animal trailer, with a shorter double-decker. Oops. With a shorter version, and the shorter version works with the meat processing plant. The trailer that we had didn't work with the meat processing plant, so I swapped one in that did. We also swapped in an AR fuel frame, or fuel module, and we have a Cote Universal, or more, it's Garrett, sorry. We have a Garrett Universal tank. That's an AR module that we'll use to transport slurry and digestate around. So we have that module. And I'll show you those when we get back to the farm here in just a few minutes. So who else that's watching this series is playing this map? I'm a little curious. I know I got a couple comments on a couple of the earlier episodes of guys that are playing this map, and I know at least one of them really appreciates kind of me showing what all of the different things do, because he didn't realize that those silos at the main farm that make silage, he didn't realize that those made silage. So he was making silage the old-fashioned way with the bunker, and was really appreciative when he saw that that those silos would pretty much do the same thing for him. So whatever compost we don't use here, we will just run over to the garden center. So you can see we already have some bags of compost. They look awful familiar. They look a lot like some compost bags you might find at your local garden center. So we are at 25 minutes. We will probably take some of next episode to get our manure and our manure processing facility up and running. And we'll probably bring some straw up to the BGA. Let's see, I wonder how much these things take. These things take basically 40,000 units of compost each. So they take just over they take over a truckload each, so that's several truckloads. Alright. So we're going to wrap up the episode. A little shorter than 30 minutes, but we'll just go ahead and wrap it on up. Hope you guys enjoy this series. As you said, we plan on farming with big equipment, but when there isn't much farming to do because we're working with slow growth rates, I set the growth rate to slow. So when we don't have anything going on as far as the farming, we will focus on the industries of this map, as well as maybe some industries that we'll bring in, like we brought in the meat processing that we're going to use with our pigs. So once our pigs reach, once we have about 115 pigs, then we will start selling a truckload of pigs per day to the meat plant. So let's get a load of straw here. So let's look and see how many pigs we do have. So right now we have 79 pigs, and we are producing one pig just under every 2 hours. So it shouldn't be too many game days before we can start selling them pigs down at the meat plant. So if you like this video, please click the like button. If you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. And until next time, happy farming, y'all.